Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 206. We're going to discuss Piranha-Man versus Werewolf-Man, Howl of the Piranha, released in 2010. I watched this on Tubi. I had not seen this before. I also swear I am not making any of what follows up. It's all true. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. You can find links to a more complete credit list in the show notes if you would like them. This film was written and directed by Steve Goldenberg and Dorian Knight. Visual effects were by Jake FMFB. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Not sure. We've seen Steve Goldenberg's work as a second assistant director on Direwolf. He's done a lot of different jobs on film sets, including actor, art department, camera and electrical departments, producing, and others. This is the only film Dorian Knight wrote and directed. He has 2 prior acting credits. This is Jake FMFB's only credit. The cast includes Carrie Long as Lexi Glass. Carrie Long did a couple of movies around 2010. So, let's go over the plot summary. The story is told out of order to keep us confused, which I don't think was necessary because it is confusing enough as it is. I've done my best to untangle this mess, but I have so many unanswered questions. Decades ago, an experiment on a Russian submarine created WereWolf-Man. A different man crashes his plane while on the run from a dangerous drug cartel. He eats mysterious eggs he finds on an island and transforms into Piranha-Man. He's rescued and goes home to his girlfriend. 9 months later, she gives birth to the main character, Lexi Glass, who is immediately sent away to an orphanage. Decades later, Lexi is now a hard-hitting journalist investigating a series of murders. Werewolf-Man is killing blonde women. Why? Don't ask. I don't know. Lexi is having dreams about kissing a strange man she doesn't know in the woods. Werewolf-Man moves on to killing people who know Lexi, but not her. He does knock her out, and while she's unconscious, she has a vision of a luchador who tells her the whole backstory. Her dying roommate directs her to Indiana to find her father. She follows 2 strange men into the forest where they torture a chained-up Piranha-Man. She meets the man from her dreams. They kiss. Piranha-Man escapes and fights Werewolf-Man. Werewolf-Man wins the fight because he uses a gun. Then he reveals that he is the son of the original Werewolf-Man, is himself a Werewolf-Man, and is her half-brother. How? Again, I don't know. Lexi lets him get close to her, surprises him, and then chokes him to death with her scarf. In the final shot, she reveals herself to be a piranha woman. This is a weird kind of bad. Usually a film this incoherent is also technically awful. You know the type. Poor lighting so you can't see what's going on. Poor audio so it's hard to make out dialogue. But not this film. It's competently, although not artistically put together. You can see and hear what's happening just fine. The filmmakers know how to get a decent shot, but they don't know how to string good shots into meaningful sequences. The werewolf design here leans heavily into practical low-budget makeup and suits. The gore is all implied off-screen. Both Werewolf-Man and Piranha-Man's looks are equally committed and equally comical. The heads and faces are a joke, but the gloves they used are actually decent, so I'll give them points there. Attack scenes are all choreographed so that the real violence happens off-screen, where you don't have to pay for it. Moving on to Werewolf Lore. This is a fever dream mashup rather than a straight lore discussion. Werewolf-Man is created in a Russian scientific accident on a submarine? Not Piranha-Man, that would make more sense. And then the condition is passed along to his son. We never see the original Werewolf-Man change back into his human form, but his son can apparently transform at will, and instantaneously, which goes along with an implied ability to teleport into and out of closets, bathrooms, and showers. There is no mention of silver, wolfsbane, full moons, or pack dynamics. We also never learn if either Werewolf-Man was stronger or more resilient than a normal human. We don't know how, or even if, the original Werewolf-Man died, but we do know his son was choked to death. We know next to nothing. Before I even watched this movie, I knew we were going to talk about the ridiculousness of Werewolf-Man. We have to. The most ridiculous thing in this movie is the term Werewolf-Man, which represents a pinnacle of linguistic redundancy that borders on comedy. It's the equivalent of calling a creature a man-wolf-man, or insisting on calling someone a human person. To understand just how nonsensical this is, we have to start with the etymology of the word werewolf. The English word comes directly from Old English, werewolf or werewolf, a compound of ver, man, or male person, from the Proto-Indo-European wero, and wolf, for wolf. It literally means man-wolf, or a human who can transform into a wolf. This etymology is shared across fellow Germanic languages, appearing as Weerwolf in Middle Dutch, Werewolf in Old High German, or Werewolf in Swedish. In other words, the were prefix already specifies the human element. Adding man on top of that is redundant. It's a tautological overkill. The linguistic version of wearing a belt and suspenders while holding up your pants with both hands. The word faded somewhat after the 17th century, but it was revived in the 19th century folklore studies. Throughout this history, werewolf has always carried the inherent meaning of a man who becomes a wolf. Only someone who doesn't know where the word came from would think to add an additional specifier. Why? Why? The creature is defined by its hybrid human-wolf nature. Tacking on man adds nothing but confusion and diminishes the elegant simplicity of the original compound word. Now, other languages handle the concept just as cleanly, without the temptation of redundant manifying. Many retain the man-wolf idea implicitly or use descriptive phrases. In French, it's loup-garou, where garou derives from the same Germanic root as werewolf. Spanish, it's hombre lobo, man-wolf, where hombre is necessary here because there's no single compound equivalent. Slavic languages often use forms like varkolak or vkodlak, that's a hard one to pronounce, wolf-haired, or something similar. Greek-derived lycanthrope, literally wolf-human again, is used internationally in more clinical or fantastical contexts. If you speak another language, please let us know what the word for werewolf is in that language in the comments. I would love to compile a big list. In languages that say wolfman, it makes sense as a descriptive phrase. It works. In English, where werewolf already exists as a precise and ancient term, werewolf-man feels like a modern screenwriter or B-movie marketer trying too hard to sound cool and tripping over basic language. Piranha-Man versus Werewolf-Man is a film that, well, it leans into campy excess. So perhaps the title's linguistic crime is thematically appropriate, but from a language lover's perspective, Werewolf-Man is cringe-inducing because it ignores the very DNA of the word that it's modifying. It is a man-wolf-man, a redundant monstrosity far more absurd than any actual shapeshifter. So here is my gentle reminder to everyone. The were already did the job. The Wolfman needs no further manhandling. I cannot in good conscience recommend this film. There are bright spots, but it is so confusing. I spent the whole film scratching my head. A good example comes early in the film. The camera is following Lexi as she walks through a park. The handheld camera clearly seems to indicate that we are in Werewolf-Man's point of view. The camera hides behind a tree, peeking out to watch Lexi. This is a standard horror movie shot. Then we cut to a wide shot of the park. We can see Lexi, we can see the tree, but there's no stalker. So was the previous camera shot intentionally misleading us? Why? Or did Werewolf-Man teleport away? The whole movie is like this. Individual shots are good, but they're connected in ways that dragged me out of the movie and left me unsure of what was going on. Don't waste your time. So if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe this channel. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed, or maybe you noticed something else. Next, I plan to discuss Nightwolf from 2010. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bullet in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.